Suddenly, as from nowhere, the question came. She reached up. Daddy, Daddy, what's DNA? He was very confused. He looked down. He wanted to say deoxyribonucleic acid, but he didn't think that was a question the answer she was looking for. He said, DNA, darling, is the smallest part of you that contains every part of you. And no part of you doesn't have it, and all of you has it. She looked up and said, thanks, Daddy, and ran away. He didn't quite know what that question was about. And isn't it interesting that our greatest talent, our number one skill, the thing that separates us from the beasts, our ability to use language, words. We treat it so casually, some of us. Obviously, these wonderful TED speakers are nailing it today, some fantastic presentations. However, in general, we learn to speak, we get our accents, we get our mannerisms, and we roll with it. You are not your DNA. You may have heard that. But in fact, there's a thing called epigenetics, where your environment, one of the speakers beautifully said it, the vibrations that we get, we can control them, and we can give out the vibrations we want, and we can reprogram our DNA. Quite a useful thing to know if you have a stroke. On the 30th of July, 2016, I had a stroke of genius. A flash of insight. Physically, it took away half my body. Quite annoying. But the bad bit was, I lost the ability to speak. And for somebody who's a professional speaker, that's a bit of a bitch. Can I say that? But within 8 weeks, I was back on stage speaking. Thanks to my youngest son who poured me onto stage. This arm was in a sling. It's got a bit more movement now. Things are going great. Thanks for asking. But the reason I was able to do that, ladies and gentlemen, and what I'd like to share with you, is that I had spent over 30 years studying speaking and presenting, and speaking and presenting. And through that deliberate practice, over time, I'd built up the neurology, the density of nerve cells, axons, dendrites, all that thinking stuff, that meant the stroke couldn't take it all away. And it was also able to rebuild itself quite quickly. So I thought, why did I do that so quickly and others struggle at BNI, Bob clubs, breakfast meetings, how many networking meetings are going on around the world? There's a lot of them. And people get up and they've got to do their 60 seconds, their 30 seconds, their 15 seconds, say who you are, what you do, da-da-da. And I'm surprised and shocked. Well, I quite like it because I make my living through that, but people didn't like doing something they did fairly regularly. Please raise your hands if you're a public speaker. Quite a few is in the room, quite a few. I'm going to say it again in a moment after I tell you this. What is the point of speaking? Answer, to do it in public usually. You can hear yourself without speaking. And if you talk to yourself, I'm quite an old guy, but when I was young, if you saw people talking to themselves, it was a problem. So really, especially the ladies, of which I have many in the room, you do a lot of public speaking. So, who in the room is a public speaker? Yeah, that's the truth. So if you're going to do something often and regularly, and it has incredible impact on you, maybe we should focus on that. Because before getting my speech back, I had a thing called Fluent Dysphasia. And that means what was going on in my head, those words weren't coming out of my mouth. That's very scary. Not for me, but for my sons. It was, Dad, it's not funny. It's not funny. Don't do that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So focus is very important. Know what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to do, and connect what's going on in your head with what's coming out of your mouth. So my insight went a bit further. Because, okay, we've got to practice this in deliberate practice. And one of my childhood heroes was Bruce Lee. And he said, among many things that he said, I do not fear the warrior who has practiced 1,000 kicks. I fear the one who has practiced one kick 1,000 times. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's the power of deliberate practice and focus. So, okay then, there's a thing called an elevator speech. You meet Richard Branson on the ground floor of a lift. Anyone know elevator speech? Anybody's got an elevator pitch? You got your own elevator pitch? Tell me. Talk to me. Yeah. Well, it's a good thing to have. You meet Richard Branson and you say to him, you know, hello, Richard? Hello, sir? Oh. You get on the 3rd floor, you walk out, you've missed the opportunity of a lifetime. So if you have an elevator pitch in business, it's a good thing. But when everybody has an elevator pitch, good isn't good enough. You've got to have a bit more. You've got to be ready. The other thing I thought about is, okay, everyone's got elevator pitches, everybody's doing this stuff, everybody's networking, we're all entrepreneurs, we're all trying to make money, we're trying to grab market share, do all the wonderful things we've heard about, and we want to be different. And we don't choose to use the thing that makes us different, our signature. Now in the play The Crucible, written by Arthur Miller, which I studied at school, it's still popular many years later, the protagonist, John Proctor, says, leave me my name. When they try to get him, well, he signs a document confessing to sins he hadn't committed, betraying his wife and family and those he loved. His world was shattered, and he actually ended up signing the document, but he wouldn't give it them. He said, leave me my name. What is a man, or woman in the modern version, without his or her name? You see, your name is your signature. When people get up to talk, Bill Jones, Mary Smith, you should stand up in your name. And when you start a speech, you start with your name. That's powerful. You should also recognize you have a unique, not an USP, a UBP, a unique buying proposition. Because nobody else can do what you do. Nobody. Nobody else can be you. Nobody. So then I wanted to wrap it all up in kind of a Zen thing. So I started this idea of an elevator pitch isn't good enough. And I found the term signature speech. I thought signature speech is good because it's got a signature. Whose signature? Whose signature? Mine. That was good. People got that one. It's got your signature on it. And every time you give that speech, people will know it's yours. Because you start the same way, you'll deliver the same product, I hope. I think I heard somebody go, oh, I've got 10 products, 15 products. Well, you're a busy fool. No. Focus is very important. We have a couple of products, and we should only be pitching one at a time, else Richard, still in the lift, will get confused. So your name's the same, your product or service generally the same, and the way you deliver it, the unique way that you deliver it. That's 3 things already that never change, or change rarely. But then they say, but Michael, Don, whatever your name is, if we say the same thing over and over again, won't it get boring? Well, the Zen masters prove that they are masters by being able to draw the Zen Circle. A very simple art form. With one stroke of a pen, they can draw a perfect circle. So the result of the practice is something beautiful and unique, and very few people can do it. If you can deliver your elevator pitch with your signature on it over and over again, people start to see it as a symbol of you, almost a catchphrase. Anyone remember Bruce Forsyth? I'm getting on, I've got to be careful with my references. Nice to see you, to see you.
Nice.
That gentleman, Sir Bruce Forsyth, was on the stage for 77 decades with the same act. With the same act. But he mixed it up and he changed it, he made it modern, it lasted for 70 years. The same song and dance act. He revitalized it by changing the space, the gaps, the context. But what he delivered was beautiful music, wit, comedy, and people knew what to expect. You see, there's only one world, and we've been taught to separate it into the everyday world and the miraculous, wonderful, magical realm. So we see, oh, I'm average, I'm ordinary, I'm like everybody else. But deep inside of us, we know we're special. A guy called Joseph Campbell wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces and created the monomyth. All the stories are the same. Star Wars. I always forget this one. Cadmus Evergreen stars in it. The Hunger Games. Mary Poppins. What's the one where she clicks her heels on the red? Wizard of Oz. In all these things, all these myths, it's the same myth. The hero gets a call to adventure. I call that A, grabbing the attention of your client. You have that tension where you, hello, and finally you make it, oh, yeah, I do that as well. Wow, brilliant, what are you doing there? And you suddenly cross the threshold and you're now connected. You enter the magical world where what you do can change your customer, your client, your friend, your lover. It can change their world from everyday drab into magical. Then the good times finish. Never last, ladies, do they? Never last that long. The car door stops getting opened. The flowers stop arriving. And we guys, we're waiting for that all the time. So the thing is, it changes. There's a crisis in the movie. Dorothy realizes she can't get home. She's had some lovely adventures, but she's helped everybody. She's met the wizard, but she can't get home. And all she wants is to go home. And then the white witch comes along and says, you've always had the ability to go home, Dorothy. How does Dorothy get home? I've only been able to do that recently. She clicks her heels together and she goes back to Kansas, back to the everyday world, but it's not the same because the adventures told her that she can have courage, wisdom. That's two. What was the third one? What was on? Bravery. Bravery's a good one. But she goes back to the ordinary world. She hasn't changed, but she recognizes the gifts that she has inside. That's what you can do in the business world for your clients and your customers in 60 seconds or less. A, you grab their attention. B, you tell them your stories. C, you ask them for something. Say, could you do this for me? Could I do something for you? And thirdly, could I help you in such a way that you could help others? Paul's fantastic speech on purpose talked about that, how his whole purpose is to connect other people with their purpose. 60 seconds or less. If I was giving you my elevator pitch with the help of a friend of mine called Sam Warner, it would go something like this. Hi, my name is Michael Donovan Smith, Richard, because I'm back in the lift, and I work with inspirational speakers and remarkable leaders to coach them in crafting the message of their purpose with confidence, charisma, and connection. And if I can help you with your virgin galactic staff problems. I'd really like to do that, Richard. Thanks. Bing! I'll see you soon. Oh, Don, can I have your card? Okay, there you go, mate. So that's 60 seconds or less. And you only get there by practicing it, but you know 3 things already. You know your name. Yeah? you know what you do. It's a little bit dodgy there, wasn't it? You know what you do, and try to go to the networking meeting, try to go to the event, try to go everywhere with the willingness to ask for what you deserve. To ask for help yourself, help others to help others. Then what you'll have, ladies and gentlemen, if you practice it, if you focus, if you're prepared to take the risk of doing the same thing over and over again, so you become a Zen master at telling people what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and how it would help their lives be better. And you will have the DNA of every speech you will ever have to give. My name is Michael Don Smith. Thank you so much for the opportunity.